Hello and welcome to our number talk. Today we are looking at the expression 28 plus 34. What we do in a number talk is we take mental math, that means no paper, no pencil, and we use that to solve an expression. And then we look at all the different ways we could have solved it. So before we go any further, let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and pause the video, solve this problem in your head. When you have the answer, unpause it. We'll look at all of our strategies together. So the first strategy we could have used uses the associative property. And this is our grouping property that lets us change the way we group the addends. So we're going to use near doubles because if you look at this 28 plus 34, you'll see that this is almost, the two numbers are pretty close. So I've got 28 here. And if I kind of cut this last 10 right here, you see I've got another 28. So 28 plus 34, I really can kind of break this 34 into a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I've got 5, 6 right there. So I could really take a look at that 28 plus 34 and think of it as a 28 plus 28, because I want to look at it as a double. And then I've got these 6 that are left over. And then the associative property is going to let me just shift the parentheses and regroup so I can add the 28s together, because doubles are usually pretty easy. So 28 and 28, that's going to be 56, because 20 and 20 is 40, and 8 and 8 is 16. I still need to add that 6, so if I add 56 and 6, hopefully you got the same answer that I just did, that we could have gotten 62. Another way to use the associative property is to make tens. So what we do is we look at our first addend, and we think, okay, how far away is it from 10? And as you can see, right, I need 2 more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these 2, and I'm going to add them up with that first number to make it 10. So 28 plus 34, really I'm just going to break up that 34 into a 2. Those are the 2 I wanted. And then there's 32 left over. So 2 plus 32, that's really what 34 is. And then the associative property lets me just regroup them. So I add up my 28 and 2 first, and that's going to give me that 30 that I was looking for. And look at that, 30 plus 32. That's going to be pretty easy because there's no regrouping involved. Still going to give you my same answer of 62. Now I can also sometimes use something called friendly numbers. So what I'm looking for is, are there some numbers that are a little bit easy or friendly to add in these numbers? And I'm looking, and you know what? I see 25 and 30. I can add 25 and 30 pretty easy. So let's see what I would have to do to get 25 and 30. So this 28, I'm going to call that 25, and then I've got 3 left over. And then the 34, I'm going to call that 30. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 left over. So the associative property lets me regroup it. This commutative property helps me reorder them, because I need to reorder them. I want to put my 25 and my 30 together. You can shift the order in all of these. So I'm going to reorder them and regroup them. So I want to do my 25 and 30 first. Those are friendly numbers. That's 55. There's no regrouping involved. But now I've got to bring together my 3 and my 4. Those are the leftovers. So I do that second, the 3 and the 4, and that's going to get me 7. So I add my 55 and my 7. Guess what I get? I get back up to my 62. But that's a different strategy that we don't use very often. You can also just use place value. So let's just break each of these up into place value. Let's start with our tens place. We're going to add that first. So 28 plus 34. We're going to break each of these into place value. 20 plus 8. Think of expanded form. 30 plus 4. So let's reorder them and regroup them. Let's put our 20 and 30 together. So that's 50. Now we need to pick up our ones. Right, we've got an 8 and we've got a 4. So let's put those together. 8 and 4, that makes 12. So 50 and 12, guess what we get? That same answer of 62. Another thing that's kind of similar is called adding up in chunks. But what we do is we keep our first addend all together. We take the tens place of the second addend. So watch, this is how it works. We get a 28 plus 34, and we're going to break up that 34 into its place value. 30 plus 4. We're going to use the associative property to shift the parentheses so we can add the 28 and 30 first. So 28 and 30, that's pretty easy because we're not regrouping and all. That's going to be 58. And I need to add my 4 again. Well, you guessed it. We're going to keep getting back up to 62, but that's adding up in chunks sometimes. It's pretty easy. And then finally, let's look at compensation. We're going to look at our addends and find the one that's closest to the next 10. And it's this 28 right here. So if I were to steal these two from the 34 and bring them over here, well, I've got two different numbers here. Now this would make 30, but now this would make 32. And so 28 plus 34, what I do is I take 2 from my 34, bring it over my 28, and that makes it 30 and 32, and it's the same problem. So compensation works because you're just kind of rearranging things, and you get your same answer of 62. So those are just a few of the strategies that I can think of to solve 28 plus 34. If you can come up with a different one, that's fantastic. Go ahead and add that as a comment on the video. If you are a teacher and would like a copy of the slide deck for your own use in the classroom, you can find it on my website, 5minutemath.net.